Today I'm going to review the Ownboard W1S. I'll show you two range tests, one with hills and one on flat roads. I'll also talk about the problem I had with the BMS and how I changed it myself. Let's get started. I've been riding the board for the past 6 months now, and I've done about 400 kilometers with it. As you can see, it looks dirty because I rode it when it was raining, but the cool thing about this board is that you can actually clean it with water, since it is semi-waterproof, splash-proof, or whatever they call it. I would still avoid using it in the rain though, because it is still a wooden deck with moving parts, bearing and electronics, so just don't take the risk. Also, the front wheels still looks great, but the one from the back are in pretty bad shape. That's because where I live the roads are really bad, which have a huge impact on wheel lifespan. But I've seen people with way better looking wheels after 400 kilometers, so it really depends on where you live, and in any case you can replace them for fairly cheap. The deck is not as flexible as a Vanguard deck, but the flex is there and it does provide a fairly comfortable ride, and the bushing and trucks are pretty great for the price. The remote design is not really original, as it looks like the one from the boosted boards, but I actually really like it. I've tested at least 6 different e-skate remotes, from commercial products to DIY skateboards, and it is the best remote I've ever tested. It has handy features and just works great. It's not perfect though, there is a little bit of play in the plastic, but it's not too big of a deal. Now let's talk about the BMS issue. After about 80 kilometers or so, the board suddenly stopped working. I removed the battery cover, checked everything using a multimeter, and the output of the battery was weird, so I contacted Ownboard. They said it was a BMS problem and asked if I felt like changing it myself. And because I really like doing this kind of thing, I agreed, and they sent me a new beefier BMS with almost everything you need to make the swap. By the way, I have no idea if I should have paid the shipping cost myself to send the battery if I didn't want to do it myself. But anyway, I opened this case, removed the battery, destroyed the foam in the process, but you have a spare one when you purchase the board, so that's fine. You then need to follow the video tutorial Ownboard sent you. So you remove the heat shrink sleeve, do a lot of desoldering and soldering, and to be honest, it's not that easy. If you don't have a lot of experience with soldering, you may consider sending the battery back, because there is a risk of ruining it, or worse, it can even burn violently if you make a short circuit, so be careful. After you installed the new BMS, you then need to put the new provided sleeve back on and take care of the waterproofing using silicone glue. I even put silicone on the screws and the nuts to make sure it was waterproof. So overall it took quite some time, but it worked perfectly. But still, it's a shame that Ownboard didn't change the BMS of every battery from factory, because they are clearly aware of the problem. Now for the range tests. The first one I did was before the BMS swap. I rode on steep hills, downhills, flat roads, so basically a mix of everything. And as you can see, I got 16.9 kilometers with a max speed of 39 kilometers an hour. And keep in mind that I went through a lot of hills, which reduced the max range. So I'm really impressed with the runs of this board, even though I'm pretty light with 65 kilograms. Also, there is a regenerative braking, so it shares the board when you brake or go downhill, but from what I've seen online, the range benefit of such technology on e-bike and e-skates is actually pretty low. The second test I did was after the BMS swap, and I got 19.65 kilometers. I would have expected a bit more, since this time it was on a dead flat road. Maybe this is because I actually heated up the cells way too much with my soldering iron. as I later realized I accidentally used the lowest temperature settings, which is bad since when you're working with 18650 cells you need to melt the solder as fast as you can, otherwise you can damage the batteries. I don't know if it can result in less capacity, maybe not, but anyway, the second range test needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. In conclusion, do I recommend the boards? Yes, sure. For $400 it's an awesome product that I really like using. The specs are great, the ride is comfortable, and even though they are obviously not using the best part there is, well, for the price it is definitely good. The fact that the battery is from a known and reputable brand is really great, and it is one of the best ESC out there. It is smooth, responsive, and just great. I had the opportunity to compare the ESC with the one from the Mi Pro V2, and even though the acceleration of the Mi Pro is better, the ESC feels a bit more jerky and less predictable. Don't get me wrong, the ESC from Mi Pro is still really good, but you do feel the difference when you try both. So overall, even though Ownboard still needs to improve a few things, for the price you just can't go wrong. Thanks for watching. If you want more information about the boards, be sure to check the link in the description to support the channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I'll soon do other reviews such as the Cool Wheel 2.0, and I'll also show you how I built an insanely powerful 4000 watts and mostly 3D printed e-bike.